Welcome to Book Summary Podcast, your gateway to personal transformation. Each episode delivers big ideas from the world's most impactful books on mindset, productivity, and success, all in just a few minutes. Ready to turn knowledge into action? Let's get started.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we take a stack of your sources, could be articles, research, maybe even your own notes, and really extract the most important nuggets of knowledge or insight.
Yeah, getting right to the core of it.
Exactly. Our mission here is pretty simple. We want to transform complex information into clear, actionable understanding, giving you that essential shortcut to truly being well-informed.
And today, we're embarking on, well, an extraordinary deep dive into the fascinating world of high-performance habits. We're drawing really extensively from Brendon Burchard's rigorous research and his elite-level coaching insights.
Right. He's worked with so many top performers.
Hundreds of thousands, across the globe. And this isn't just about, those fleeting moments of success. It's really about understanding and implementing the core principles that allow individuals to achieve and, maybe most importantly, sustain both remarkable external success and a profound sense of well-being over the long term.
That distinction is just so important, isn't it? I mean, we're not just chasing those temporary spikes in achievement, but actually building a foundation for success that truly lasts and feels fulfilling along the way.
Exactly.
And to really bring this to life, let's maybe start with a scenario that might feel incredibly familiar to a lot of you listening. Imagine Lynn. Lynn is definitely an achiever. She's fought long and hard, right? Propelled by sheer grit, hustle. She's climbed the ladder, hit her goals. Outwardly, she looks like the picture of success. But then something subtle, yet pretty profound, starts to shift. She hits a plateau.
Yeah.
That driving passion maybe begins to wane, or perhaps even worse, she finds herself kind of teetering on the edge of burnout.
That's such a classic, almost universal experience, I think, for people who rely solely on that raw effort. Lynn, in this state, she often feels adrift. Lost in this sea of overwhelming priorities. She's looking around, maybe seeing others potentially passing her, and she's genuinely unsure how to replicate or even scale her initial success. There's this constant kind of gnawing fear of falling behind, of just not being able to meet the ever-increasing demands of that next level.
Even though she's incredibly capable.
Oh, absolutely capable, yes. But without those, let's call them standard operating principles for sustained high performance, she can feel like she's just treading water. Even when she's still, outwardly achieving things, it's just an exhausting cycle to be in.
So the promise of this deep dive, then, it isn't just another quick fix or some kind of Band-Aid solution.
No, definitely not.
What we're about to unpack are the true levers you can pull to really activate your full potential, to cultivate that vital sense of well-being as you strive that's key to inspire and lead others towards excellence, and ultimately, really, to live a deeply fulfilled life. This isn't about finding new tricks for temporary peak performance. It's about real, tangible skills and methods for holistically advancing your life and your career. It's about charting a course, really, to break free from that churning sea of distractions and disappointments and continuously rise, but with purpose and hopefully joy.
Okay, so let's begin by really defining what high performance actually means, because it's a term, that gets thrown around so much, and often I think it's misunderstood. At its core, what is the research telling us it truly is?
Fundamentally, high performance, as defined by this really extensive research, it isn't merely achievement for achievement's sake. It's far more nuanced and frankly profound than that. The core definition is about creating ever-increasing levels of both well-being and external success over the long term.
Okay, both. Ever-increasing.
Both, yeah. Think about that for a second. It's this dual mandate, a really crucial balance. You're not simply striving for the external accolades, bigger titles or more money. You're actively realigning your thoughts and your behaviors to experience genuine growth, a vital sense of well-being, and deep fulfillment as you strive. That's the key part. While you're doing it.
While you're doing it. It's about sustained upward momentum, not just, hitting these occasional peak performance cliffs, celebrating for a moment, and then maybe crashing down or burning out.
That's a really sharp distinction, separating those temporary spikes from what truly lasts and, crucially, feeling good while you're doing it. So if that's what high performance is, let's tackle what many of us think it is, but maybe the research says otherwise. For instance, we often hear that pure grit, willpower, endless practice, or just relying on your natural strengths, that's enough to get you to the top. Does the research confirm that?
Well, grit and willpower absolutely get you in the game, right? They're crucial initially. They're kind of your entry ticket.
Right.
But here's where the insights get really fascinating, and I think for many people, quite counterintuitive. The world today, it demands far more than just that individual effort or relying only on what you're already good at. It's really about adding profound value, effectively leading other people, and adeptly managing incredibly complex and dynamic priorities. And the research reveals a crucial insight here. High performers, surprisingly, don't report working on their strengths any more than other people do.
Really? That's surprising.
It is. Their real differentiator is seeing what the situation or the mission demands, and then critically serving beyond their natural inclinations or their existing strengths.
That's a powerful point. That completely flips the script on how many of us think about self-improvement, right? It's not just about doubling down on what you're naturally good at, but truly stepping beyond your comfort zone to serve a greater need. That's a pretty profound shift, isn't it?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what one of the author's early coaching clients, a man named Tom, articulated so brilliantly. Tom explicitly challenged the focus on strengths during their sessions. He said, basically, my natural tendencies don't do the job. It's about me rising to serve a mission, not the mission bowing down to match my limited strengths. He wasn't interested in generic advice. He demanded the gold. You know, what high performers actually do at a granular, replicable level, not just what they're inherently born with. This concept of adaptive service, that willingness to grow into the person who can fix what needs fixing, to acquire the skills necessary for the mission, that's really central to sustain high performance.
Okay, so moving beyond our comfort zone, beyond our natural tendencies, what's the second common misconception about high performance?
Myth number 2 is that certainty is desirable. And here's the kicker. The research declares it quite strongly. Certainty is the enemy of growth and high performance.
The enemy.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's described as a fool's dream that paradoxically actually blinds you to new possibilities.
Yeah.
It sets these fixed limits on what you believe you can achieve, and it fosters these automatic habits that make you predictable, rigid.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The person who is absolutely certain about everything, they're often the most closed to learning new things.
Right. Most vulnerable.
Most vulnerable to dogma, and ultimately the most likely to be blindsided by innovators who are challenging the status quo. High performers, in stark contrast, they kind of outgrow this often youthful need for absolute certainty. They replace it instead with an insatiable curiosity and a genuine self-confidence in their ability to figure things out, even in ambiguity. They learn to embrace the unknown.
That's fascinating. We often crave certainty, don't we? Especially in a chaotic world, but it sounds like it can actually be a hindrance to true progress. And then there's myth number 3, which I'm guessing ties into this idea of innate talent or personality.
You're absolutely right. Myth number 3 is the belief that high performance is all about innate talent or having a specific personality type. The research consistently and powerfully debunks this. High performance is not consistently correlated with any particular personality type, not IQ, innate talent, creativity, years of experience, gender, race, culture, or even compensation levels. This is actually a truly liberating finding for many people.
Yeah, people who think, oh, I just wasn't born with the right stuff.
Exactly. That whole narrative that success is predetermined.
So it's not about some great big bag of strengths at birth, as the research puts it. That's such a common internal narrative for so many of us.
Exactly. The quote is, no one innately lacks any of the high-performance habits. High performers aren't these lucky stiffs who just inherited some magical advantage. What distinguishes them is simply that they deploy these habits more consistently.
They practice them.
They practice them. The crucial distinction here, which really cannot be overstated, is what we do with what we have tends to be far more important than what we have in the first place. This means you should never, ever wait to pursue a dream or a higher level of performance just because you fear you lack the right stuff or some innate advantage. The power really lies in your actions.
That's incredibly empowering. It really puts the power squarely back into our hands, reminding us that it's about cultivation, not just inheritance. So why is this understanding of high performance and these specific habits, why is it so critical right now? What's this new world reality we're navigating that makes this more urgent than ever?
Well, we're living in a time of palpable, almost universal uncertainty, aren't we?
Definitely.
People everywhere feel kind of lost, unsure how to truly get ahead or make confident decisions for their families or careers. They want to scale up their impact in their lives, but they often feel just wiped out. They're working harder than ever, but simply not breaking through to that next level of fulfillment or influence.
Yeah.
The baseline for work and life has just profoundly shifted. Gone are the days when work was predictable, expectations were fixed, or change was gradual. Now, change is accelerated dramatically, and everything, it seems, just feels chaotic and unpredictable.
I can absolutely relate to that feeling of chaos, that constant churn. It's like mistakes aren't private anymore either. They're public and global in an instant.
Precisely. And the new unspoken norm in many professional environments is quite telling and, frankly, quite demanding. It's almost as if society is saying to us, look, pretend you're not working as hard, right? So your friends are impressed with your leisurely posts and photos at breakfast. But yeah, definitely work hard. Don't wait for instruction because there really are no rules anymore. Try to keep your head on because it's a madhouse out here. Ask questions, but don't expect anyone to actually know the answers. There are no leaders because we all lead now. So just find your groove for right now and add value. And by the way, you'll never really figure anything out. Just keep adapting because tomorrow everything changes again.
Wow. That's a pretty bleak, but also, yeah, disturbingly accurate picture of modern life for many. So what's the antidote? What's the solution to this pervasive chaos and uncertainty that the research points to?
The solution really lies in what the research identifies as the high-performance 6, or the HP6 habits. These 6 deliberate habits are the core findings of this multi-year study. They're empirically proven to move the needle most in helping you reach and, crucially, sustain high performance across multiple domains of your life.
And they're learnable.
They're learnable, they are improvable, and they are deployable across all contexts. Now, it's important to note, they don't necessarily become automatic or easier over time because the world continues to get more complex, right? But you get better and more conscious at deploying them. You grow with the challenge.
It's not about finding that easy button or some kind of magic bullet. It's about consistent, deliberate effort, the continuous cultivation of these specific practices. And what are these 6 powerful habits that form the bedrock of high performance?
They really have to do with clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. These are what high performers actually do continually, from goal to goal, project to project, and interaction to interaction. They are not just personality traits. They are active, repeatable behaviors.
Okay, let's really dive deep into these HP6 habits then, because this is where the actionable insights truly live. The first one, and maybe the most foundational, is seek clarity. I mean, it makes so much sense, doesn't it? If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, but probably not to where you really want to be.
Precisely. As the legendary cellist Yo-Yo Ma famously said, if you don't have clarity of ideas, you're just communicating sheer sound. High performance truly begins with knowing who you want to be, how you want to interact with the world around you, and what genuinely brings meaning to your life. The research really emphasizes this point. No goals, no growth, no clarity, no change.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. Without clear, maybe even stretch goals, and a deliberate plan to achieve them, motivation and willpower alone, they just aren't enough to break through all the noise and achieve that sustained progress.
This sounds exactly like Kate, the lost achiever we talked about earlier. She was highly successful, admired leader, managing thousands, outwardly had it all, right? Yet internally, she felt profoundly disconnected, lost, and found herself asking, I just don't know what I want anymore. Her motivation had just evaporated.
Yes, Kate's story is such a classic example of that common plateau for high achievers. They reach a certain level, and then, without renewed clarity, they start focusing on simply protecting their past successes rather than aggressively progressing. And often, nobody else really notices at first because they're still outwardly good, right? Still performing to a baseline.
Yeah, keeping up appearances.
Exactly. But internally, as the author describes it, they're often a hot mess of quiet desperation. For Kate, it was about re-engaging with those deeper questions of purpose and identity. She just needed a compass again.
So how do high performers actually seek this clarity in a practical, repeatable way? What are the key practices?
Okay, one of the core foundational practices is to envision the future for. High performers consistently and deliberately get clear on 4 crucial aspects of their future self and life.
Okay, future 4. Let's unpack these one by one. What's the first dimension of this future vision?
All right, the first is self. This involves regularly envisioning a better future version of yourself. It's not about stagnating on who you have been or, clinging to past accomplishments, but actively imagining and internalizing who you are becoming, what new virtues or capabilities you embody.
Like who you want to be.
It's exactly who you aspire to be. For Kate, Her coach had her describe herself in recent, everyday situations, like coming home after work, playing with her kids, or giving presentations at work. Then, the coach challenged her to describe herself in those same situations, but as an even better future version of herself. This simple yet profound exercise dramatically revealed the gap between who she was currently and who she truly imagined becoming. It's a real wake-up call, honestly, for anyone who undertakes it. It really shows you where you've been letting yourself coast.
That's incredibly powerful, yeah. It forces you to confront where you might be letting yourself off the hook, where you're not living into your full potential. What about the second area of clarity?
The second is social. This means having clear, conscious intentions for how you want to interact with others. High performers possess this elevated level of situational awareness and social intelligence. Before any important interaction, whether it's, say, a difficult conversation with a colleague, a family dinner, or a presentation, they actually take a moment to ask themselves questions like, how can I be a truly good person or an effective leader in this upcoming situation? What will the other person or people genuinely need from me? And critically, what kind of mood and tone do I want to proactively set for this interaction?
So it's not just about what they want to get from the interaction, but what they want to intentionally bring to it, what energy they want to infuse.
It's exactly. The research consistently found that high performers describe their best interactions using words like thoughtful, appreciative, respectful, open, honest, empathetic, loving, caring, kind, present, and fair. What they most value from others and what they strive to embody is being respected and appreciated. You see this in studies of long-term happy marriages, for instance. They often cite mutual respect as the #1 underlying value.
Makes sense.
Yeah. High performers don't just operate on autopilot. They anticipate positive social interactions and consciously strive to create them. And it's not just about the moment. High performers also consider their character and legacy, often asking, how do I want those I love and serve to remember me? For Kay, remember, she mistakenly thought she needed more time to be a good mom and wife.
Right, the quantity trap.
Exactly. But the real breakthrough wasn't about clocking more hours. It was about imagining those interactions in advance and living into those intentions daily, focusing on the quality of her presence, not just the quantity of time.
That truly shifts the paradigm from just rote time management to intentional presence. Okay, what's the third area high performers seek clarity on?
The third is skill. This involves clarifying your primary field of interest, or PFI, and identifying the specific skills you need to master. Not just for today's success, but crucially for your next level of success. The author shares his own journey here. Early in his career as a change management analyst, his PFI was leadership and his core skill was curriculum building.
Okay.
Later, when he transitioned to being a writer and trainer, his PFI shifted to personal development. But he quickly realized the truly critical skill he needed to master wasn't just personal development itself, but marketing personal development.
Interesting distinction.
Big distinction. He made a conscious, strategic shift to focus on building his brand, which ultimately led to massive reach and impact.
So it's not just about getting good at a skill, but the right skill for where you're headed and maybe where the world is moving. That foresight seems key.
Yes, and the very act of engaging in learning itself is incredibly significant for high performers. Kate's breakthrough, for instance, came when she realized she'd forgotten how much she genuinely loved to learn. Signing up for new courses and finding a mentor, it rekindled her optimism and made her feel genuinely accomplished again, bursting through that previous plateau of stagnation.
Right.
So for you, the actionable steps are, first, identify your PFI and maybe 3 skills that currently make people successful in it right now. Second, plan how you will deliberately develop these skills, reading, practice, coaching, training, blocking time on your calendar. And third, imagine your PFI 5-10 years from now. What new skills will be essential then? Start developing them sooner rather than later.
That foresight, that proactive approach, really seems like a hallmark of high performance. Okay, and the final of the future 4 areas.
The fourth is service. This is obsessing, really, about what will provide the most profound value to those you serve. It's about a relentless focus on relevance, differentiation, and excellence in your contributions. This stands in stark contrast to underperformers who often focus inward, asking, what do I want now? Or how can I get by with the least amount of effort?
Yeah, the minimum viable effort.
Exactly. Hard performers, on the other hand, they consistently ask, how can I serve with excellence? And how can I serve in unique, impactful ways? It's a complete and fundamental shift in mindset, from self-focus to outward contribution.
That's a really powerful framework for cultivating clarity in, well, every area of your life. What's the second key practice within this overarching habit of seeking clarity?
The second practice is to determine the feeling you're after. This involves a crucial distinction between emotion and feeling. Emotions are mostly immediate, instinctive, often physical reactions, like a sudden rush of fear or anger. Feelings, however, are your interpretations of those emotions. They are often more lasting, and critically, you have a much greater degree of control over them.
Okay, so I can feel the emotion of fear, but choose a different feeling.
Exactly. You could experience the emotion of fear, but still choose to feel centered or composed or courageous. High performers don't just passively wait for a flow state or a sense of inner peace to happen to them. They actively generate it. They consciously choose to feel in the zone or at peace, even amidst external pressures.
So it's about intentional emotional management almost, actively shaping your inner experience, not just letting emotions wash over you.
Precisely. Before any significant situation, a big meeting, a family gathering, even just starting your workday, you should ask yourself, what is the primary feeling I want to bring to this situation, and what is the primary feeling I want to get from it?
By consciously choosing and cultivating those desired feelings, even amidst instinctive emotions or external chaos, you exert powerful self-control and direct your internal state. It's about proactive emotional creation, not just reactive emotional reception.
And what's the third clarity practice? This one sounds deeply personal.
It's to define what's meaningful. High performers use a critical eye to discern what will be truly meaningful to their life experience, and then they deliberately spend more time on those activities. They understand that, not every mountain is worth the climb.
Right. Focus. The research identified 4 key factors that consistently contribute to a sense of meaning for high performers. First is enthusiasm. They choose projects, roles, activities they can be most genuinely enthusiastic about. This intrinsic enthusiasm is a powerful predictor of long-term life satisfaction and sustained positive emotions. The author, for instance, asks himself daily, what can I get excited or enthusiastic about today? Simple question. Releases dopamine, sets a positive tone.
I like that.
Second is connection. Beyond just seeking social comfort, high performers find deeper meaning when they are in peer groups or communities that actively challenge them. They seek out and value being around inspiring, growth-oriented people who push them. Third is satisfaction. For high performers, satisfaction isn't just a fleeting high, it's a profound sense of fulfillment that comes from a clear equation. Passion plus growth plus contribution, personal satisfaction.
Passion, growth, contribution. Okay.
Yeah. They feel deeply rewarded when their efforts align with their passions, lead to tangible growth, and make a clear, positive contribution. This often includes feelings of security, autonomy, and balance, too. And fourth is coherence. This is the overarching feeling that one's life makes sense, right? That efforts align with something important, significant work, creating a legacy. For many high performers, this sense of coherence often takes priority, even over individual desires for complete autonomy or perfect work-life balance, because they're driven by that larger purpose.
So the equation is enthusiasm plus connection plus satisfaction plus coherence meaning. That's a powerful, actionable equation to assess your life choices. And how do you keep all this clarity, all these insights top of mind amidst the daily grind and chaos?
Well, the author recommends a simple but consistent tool called the Clarity Chart. It's not just a concept, it's a practical one-page journaling tool designed to help you consistently contemplate the future for and reinforce your clarity daily.
Like a daily check-in.
Exactly. Imagine a simple single-page template where you quickly jot down your intentions for your future self, how you want to show up socially in key interactions, the specific skills you're focusing on developing, and how you'll serve with excellence that day. This consistent dashboard check, even just for a few minutes, puts these crucial concepts front and center in your conscious mind. It moves the needle more than just occasional unstructured thought. It's really about making clarity a daily practice.
Okay, moving on to our second high-performance habit, generate energy. It makes so much sense, right? You can have all the clarity in the world, know exactly where you're headed, but if you don't have the fuel, the sheer vitality to act on it, well, what good is it?
Absolutely. Ralph Waldo Emerson put it so succinctly. The world belongs to the energetic. Energy is absolutely critical for high performance. It's not some fixed state that you either have or you don't. It's something you actively transform from within and transmit to others.
Transform and transmit. Okay.
Yeah. Low energy hurts every single aspect of your life. You feel less happy, you shy away from challenges, your confidence tanks, your productivity plummets. but increase your energy and everything in your life almost magically begins to improve.
This immediately brings to mind Arjun, the burned-out tech founder you mentioned earlier. He was just utterly miserable, physically exhausted, red-rimmed eyes. Despite all his external success, he even resorted to those quick fixes like Myers cocktail Phoebes, trying to inject energy from the outside.
Arjun's story is such a stark reminder of that hustle culture trap. He thought he was hustling to build an empire, take over the world, but the brutal truth was he wasn't going to burn out in the traditional sense. He was going to become utterly tragically miserable. And eventually, from that place of depletion, he'd make bad decisions, quit or fail. He desperately wanted to feel good again and, crush it and still be happy. His desperation for those external quick fixes is incredibly common. But as the research shows, true energy generation comes from within, from conscious practices. You don't just have energy like a power plant. You transform it from your internal state and transmit it through your actions.
So what's the first practice then to generate this vital energy from within?
It's called release tension, set intention. In over a decade of coaching high performers across all sorts of fields, the author found that the easiest, fastest, and most profoundly effective way to help them dramatically increase their energy is to teach them to master transitions throughout their day.
Transitions, like moving between things.
Exactly. People lose an immense amount of focus, willpower, and emotional energy by managing transitions poorly. From the moment they wake up, to moving between different tasks or meetings, to finally ending their day and transitioning home.
So it's about being incredibly intentional about those small, often overlooked moments throughout the day.
Precisely. The practical application is called the beat practice. As you move from one major activity or environment to the next, just take a minute or two. First, close your eyes. Silently repeat the word release in your mind, commanding your body to consciously let go of all tension scan from your shoulders, neck, face, jaw, back, legs, even releasing tension in your mind and spirit.
Okay, release.
Then second, set intention by asking yourself, how do I want to enter this next activity? What specific energy do I want to bring to it? What positive outcome do I want to create?
That's incredibly simple, yet it sounds like it could be profoundly impactful, shifting your entire state in just moments. How did this simple practice affect Arjun?
Oh, it was a true game changer for him. After learning this beat practice, Arjun would consciously sit in his car for 5 minutes before entering his house after work, repeating release and setting his intention. He'd ask himself, how would I greet my wife if I were the absolute best husband I could be right now? How would I be with my daughter if I truly realized how precious and fleeting this time with her is?
Wow.
He later reported that he literally walked in like a new man that evening and had the most wonderful night with his family, feeling alive again. This just vividly demonstrates the immense power of conscious intention over merely operating on autopilot. It's about choosing your state.
That's amazing. It's like an instant emotional and mental reset button. Okay, what's the second critical practice for generating energy?
It's to bring the joy. The research shows that consciously choosing to bring more joy into your daily life is arguably the single most impactful intention you can set for generating energy.
Bring the joy. Why joy specifically?
Because joy cues nearly every other positive emotion. And broadly, positive emotion is a major, consistent predictor of high energy and, in turn, high performance. Think about it. Happier people consistently have more satisfying marriages, they tend to earn more money, they exhibit better physical health, perform at higher levels professionally, and they're perceived as more dependable and creative. So happiness isn't just a byproduct of success, it's actually a powerful driver of it.
So happiness is a choice and a strategy, not just some feeling that randomly arrives. What do these joyful high performers actually do to cultivate this?
Well, the research identified 6 specific, actionable habits of joyful high performers. 1, they prime desired emotions in advance, consciously visualizing how they want to feel before significant events or even before their day begins. 2, they anticipate positive outcomes, cultivating a robust sense of optimism. 3, they imagine stressful situations and how their best self would gracefully handle them, preparing realistically. Very proactive. 4, they seek to insert appreciation, surprise, wonder, and challenge into their day, actively looking for those elevating moments. 5, they steer social interactions toward positive emotions, acting as conscious goodness spreaders, understanding emotional contagion. And finally, number 6, they reflect regularly on gratitude, making it a consistent, deliberate practice.
Those sound like truly deliberate choices that anyone can make, starting today. The author even applied these concepts in a very personal way after his own severe brain injury, didn't he?
He did, and it's a powerful testament to their efficacy. After a severe ATV accident in 2011, the author experienced significant trauma affecting concentration, emotional control, memory. He realized he had neglected his morning habits and needed new, strong mental triggers to regain control. So every morning, for instance, while in the shower, he would ask himself 3 powerful questions. What can I be excited about today? Knowing anticipation releases dopamine. What or who might trip me up or cause stress? And how can I respond in a positive way from my highest self? And who can I surprise today with a thank you, a gift, or a moment of appreciation?
And he developed even more specific triggers for throughout the day, beyond just the morning routine.
Oh, absolutely. He integrated them right into his environment. He created an arising trigger. His first conscious thought upon waking was, how can I live fully, love openly, and make a difference today? He used a door frame trigger. Every time he walked through a doorway, he'd pause briefly and say to himself, I will find the good in this room. I'm entering this space, a happy man ready to serve.
Wow, every doorway.
Every doorway. And a waiting trigger. Whenever he found himself waiting in line or for an appointment, he'd ask, what level of presence and vibration do I feel right now on a scale of 1 to 10? Just instantly activated awareness and choice. And of course, his consistent gratitude practice.
Yeah.
Daily journaling, plus a weekly review of past entries, reliving them with real emotional connection. As he beautifully puts it, gratitude is the golden frame through which we see the meaning of life.
This is great because it provides very specific, actionable steps, not just broad concepts. How did this conscious energy cultivation impact Arjun, the guy struggling with burnout?
Well, Arjun, who had previously been very even-keeled and good at just reacting to life, he'd never consciously created triggers or intentionally shifted his state before. Through these practices, he learned to proactively elevate his energy for those around him, truly understanding the profound power of emotional contagion. He realized if he walked into a room with low energy or hurry or stress, that was the message he was sending, right? And often what he was getting back.
Yeah, mirrors.
Exactly. High performers make a conscious choice to bend their will and behaviors to generate joy and positive energy, not just for themselves, but crucially, to serve and uplift others around them.
Okay, and what's the third critical practice for generating this sustainable energy for high performance?
It's simply to optimize health. We often hear these common excuses, sometimes even from successful people, like, oh, I've become successful sleeping only 5 hours, so sleep isn't really a factor for me, or I just don't have time for exercise or healthy eating or meditation. These, as the research clearly shows, are profoundly flawed mindsets.
Right, succeeding despite it, not because of it.
Exactly. Lack of sleep wasn't what gave someone an edge. It was a deficit they succeeded despite, not because of. And those healthy habits, exercise, good nutrition, mindfulness, they actually buy back time, significantly increasing your energy, focus, and overall productivity.
So if your physical health isn't, say, a 7 or above on a scale of 1 to 10, that's immediately your most important area for improvement.
Absolutely. The research is crystal clear. Your perception of the world, your cognitive function, your emotional resilience, all of it fundamentally depends on your physical energy. Key health optimizers, backed by extensive research, include, first, exercise. Conclusive research shows it significantly increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF.
Brain fertilizer.
Exactly, fertilizer for your brain cells. It literally helps you grow new neurons, learn faster, improve memory, enhance overall brain function, and dramatically decrease stress. It consistently boosts working memory, mood, attention, alertness. Even moderate exercise, just a few times a week, is highly effective. The top 5% of high performers, they're 40% more likely to exercise at least 3 days per week compared to their peers.
40%, wow.
Huge difference. Second, nutrition. Eating healthier, focusing on whole, unprocessed foods is absolutely essential. The recommendation is to consult a nutritionist, maybe test for potential food allergies or sensitivities, and create a customized, sustainable meal plan that fuels your body optimally. And third, sleep. Consistently getting around 7 to 8 hours for most adults leads to measurably higher cognitive scores, less stress, higher life satisfaction, better overall health, increased productivity, and significantly less conflict in relationships. Conversely, chronic poor sleep is linked to numerous serious health issues and compromises every single aspect of high performance.
So, if someone is looking to truly optimize their health for high performance, where should they ideally start? What's the first step?
The primary recommendation from the research is often to begin with a regular workout schedule. There's this cascading effect. When people commit to working out consistently, they tend to naturally start caring more about their diet and sleep patterns.
Ah, okay. One thing leads to another.
Exactly. For a comprehensive approach, the actionable health plan suggested is get a complete health diagnostic from your primary care doctor, maybe seek out a sports medicine doctor for tailored advice, find a nutritionist to guide your diet, and consider a personal trainer or at least work out regularly with a fit friend for accountability and motivation. A simple starter workout, always with your doctor's approval, of course, could be 2 20-minute weightlifting sessions and 2 20-minute cardio sessions, aiming for about 75% effort per week, supplemented by brisk 20-45-minute walks on other days. The commitment here is paramount. Your vibrancy dictates how you work, how you love, how you move through the world, relate to others, lead. Optimizing your energy isn't some luxury. It's a critical duty for high performance.
Okay, our third high-performance habit is to raise necessity. Now, this sounds like it's about having a deep, almost unavoidable drive, right? A profound reason to excel.
It is exactly that. Albert Einstein famously said, "Only one who devotes himself to a cause with his whole strength and soul can be a true master. For this reason, mastery demands all of a person." You simply cannot become extraordinary. You cannot reach those sustained levels of high performance without cultivating what the research calls a soul-deep necessity to excel. It's about being so emotionally, psychologically, even spiritually committed that success isn't just a preference, it becomes a deep-seated must.
This reminds me so much of Isaac, the injured Marine you mentioned. He felt utterly adrift, like there was no point in life after his injury, unable to serve his country in the way he knew. And his friends, in that moment of incredible tough love, had to fiercely push him, didn't they? Saying things like, because, damn it, Isaac, you don't have any other choice. Because you're going to obsess about your recovery the same way you trained infantry, like a Marine. Because your family is counting on you. Because we're here for you, but we won't accept excuses. Because a warrior's destiny is greater than his wounds. It's just such a powerful articulation of necessity.
That story, it powerfully illustrates what performance necessity truly feels like. People at their core, they do what they feel they have to do, not just what they prefer or what's convenient. Whether Isaac ultimately recovered physically and emotionally, whether he engaged fully in his rehabilitation, it depended entirely on whether he decided it was necessary to get better. Without that deep-seated necessity, consistent action just often fizzles out. High performers often describe their own motivation in terms like, it's just who I am now, or I can't imagine doing anything else with my life, or this is what I was truly made to do. There's this undeniable, almost spiritual sense of obligation and urgency driving them forward.
So what are the internal and external forces that specifically fuel this profound sense of necessity in high performers? What creates that must?
Okay, internally, our values, our expectations for ourselves, our dreams, goals, and those fundamental human needs for safety, belonging, congruence, growth. These continuously shape our identity and drive our behavior. Two particularly powerful internal forces that the research identified are: 1, personal standards of excellence. This involves not just setting challenging goals, but crucially, monitoring your progress toward them. The research shows that simply monitoring your progress increases the likelihood of goal attainment by a remarkable 2.5 times.
2.5 times, just by tracking it.
Just by tracking it. If you don't track it, you're almost sure to fall short. And 2, obsession with a topic. Now, this isn't a disturbing preoccupation in a negative sense. It's a healthy, enjoyable drive where you can lose hours to a task or a skill because you genuinely love it, because you are completely fascinated by it. It becomes almost a badge of honor, right? A joyful pursuit that intensely fuels your commitment. When high personal standards meet these healthy obsessions, that's when high necessity truly emerges.
That makes perfect sense. It's that passion that just pulls you forward. And the external forces, how does outside pressure play into this, but in a positive way?
Right, these external forces are any outside factor that drives you to perform well. While some psychologists might label it pressure, high performers don't typically experience it as unwanted or burdensome. These forces include things like obligations and duty. While some short-term obligations can feel negative, like, changing a diaper at 3 a.m., adhering to your duties consistently builds a sense of identity, like feeling like a good parent. Underperformers tend to complain more about responsibilities. High performers, in contrast, recognize duty as an inherent and necessary part of the process, which ultimately leads to profoundly positive outcomes. They often see their obligations as blessings, as opportunities to contribute. Also, higher calling. Many high performers feel it's truly necessary to perform well because they feel they've been called to do it, or they sense that their performance will profoundly affect others' futures. They frequently speak in terms of legacy, destiny, or a moral responsibility to contribute. They have this deep awareness that they are needed, that their work truly matters beyond themselves. Then there are real deadlines. Athletes push harder before a game. Salespeople close more deals before quarter end. High performers march toward real deadlines with clear, significant consequences or payoffs. They are highly skilled at discerning and avoiding false deadlines, those poorly conceived activities with due dates that are merely someone's preference, not a true consequential need.
Right, the urgent versus important trap.
Exactly. And finally, social deadlines. High performers are strongly driven by the recognition that their timeliness, or lack thereof, directly affects other people. Caring for others and a genuine desire to make a difference for them naturally increases the number of deadlines in their life. Paradoxically, these deadlines, often fueled by responsibility to others, actually help them achieve greater focus and a sense of satisfying closure.
So it's really about connecting your personal drive to something much bigger than yourself, creating that undeniable must. What's the first practical application, the first practice that high performers use to raise this sense of necessity?
Okay, it's to know who needs your A game. The author suggests a simple yet incredibly powerful desk trigger. From now on, whenever you sit down at your desk or begin a significant task, just pause and ask yourself, who needs me on my A game the most right now?
That's such a simple yet brilliant question. It's frequent, and it immediately focuses your attention on service, right? On contributing to others, shifting your mindset instantly.
It is incredibly effective. It forces this quick gut check, making you instantly ask yourself, okay, what is my A game in this moment? And it immediately makes you think of someone else, tapping into your sense of duty, obligation, larger purpose. Because it's so immediate and other-focused, it powerfully prioritizes your actions. Now, bringing your A game fundamentally means giving your absolute best effort with full focus. And this is achieved through two key elements. Identity consciously choosing every single day to be a high performer, rather than slipping into the mindset of a dabbler or an amateur. You proactively define who you will aspire to be in that moment. An immersion flow, actively putting yourself in situations that inherently force you to stretch, that demand your full capabilities. Melody 6 Sigma Hai's classic elements of flow, clear goals, concentration, intrinsic reward, loss of self-consciousness, time distortion, feedback, skill challenge balance, control, focus. They're all key here.
Got it.
The goal of this practice is really to frame your effort as an opportunity to serve others. Look beyond your individual performance or feelings and connect with a reason to be your absolute best for others. Find somebody or something truly worth fighting for.
What's the second practice to truly raise that deep sense of necessity?
It's to affirm the why. Speaking your why, your profound purpose and motivation out loud makes it more real, more tangible, and more important to you. It creates this powerful social consequence and obligation because now, in a way, your ego's on the line. You've declared it.
So this involves literally talking to yourself, using affirmations to solidify that why.
Yes, self-affirmation is an incredibly powerful tool. The author gives his own example for public speaking. He would internally affirm, I am a loving, expressive person, and I want to help people by creating and delivering great content today. The focus is on those intrinsic rewards, that internal sense of contribution and purpose. High performers are also often quite exuberant in sharing their whys with others, but they remain remarkably open about how to achieve them. They are confident in their ultimate purpose, but they consistently question if their current approach is the absolute best. This balance of unwavering purpose and flexible method is really a hallmark.
And finally, how do we level up your squad to increase our necessity? This sounds interesting.
This is the third practice, level up your squad. Research on social contagion is incredibly compelling here. It shows that behaviors, attitudes, even health outcomes like happiness, pro-social behavior, developing expertise, they tend to form and spread within social clusters.
Like catching a cold, but for habits.
Exactly. These influences can radiate up to 3 degrees of separation. And critically, negative behaviors like smoking, obesity, or even divorce also spread within these networks.
So our peer group literally influences our performance and our well-being, for better or worse. But what if you grew up in a challenging environment or you've been surrounded by negative influences? Are you just doomed to that fate?
Absolutely not. And this is such a crucial point. High performance is not tied to your original culture or social environment. You possess the agency, the power, to take back your life from negative influences by consciously adopting the belief that you can improve with effort. Studies show this growth mindset can powerfully offset socioeconomic gaps and initial disadvantages.
Okay, that's empowering.
Very. High performers strategically seek out and deliberately work with people at or above their level of competence, experience, or success. They proactively network, they volunteer their skills in high-achieving circles, and they humbly ask for help and mentorship from more successful peers.
So it's about strategically curating and consciously building your social circle to elevate your own standards.
Yes, but also, and this is crucial, you have to earn it. To truly get around more successful people, to be invited into those higher level circles, you must become exceptional yourself. You need to consistently work hard, diligently practice these high-performance habits, consistently add tangible value to others, and stay unwavering on your path to mastery. Doing so will naturally open doors that were previously closed. The advice, ultimately, is to surround yourself with people who genuinely bring you joy and foster your growth, and who are secure enough within themselves to be real with you, whether you're shining brightly or struggling through a challenge. This lifts your entire squad and their collective standards upward.
All right, our fourth habit, and one that I think resonates deeply with everyone in today's demanding world, is to increase productivity. This is such a hot topic, and I'm sure everyone listening wants to know how to do more, better, and crucially, without burning out in the process.
Indeed. Andy Warhol's quote, "Don't think about making art, just get it done. Let everyone else decide if it's good or bad, whether they love it or hate it. While they're deciding, make even more art." I think it perfectly captures the essence of this habit for high performers. Productivity, in the context of high performance, means producing more high-quality output than your peers over the long term, while critically maintaining your well-being and a sense of balance. The research shows it significantly correlates with happiness, confidence, and overall success.
This really resonates with Jessica's story, the CEO trying to create healthier schools. She's working incredibly hard, but feels like she's killing myself working this hard to get what feels like nowhere. Projects move too slow, constant reinvention, fighting fires, just scrambling. She's putting in immense hours, but not making the hoped-for difference.
Jessica's experience is tragically common. High performers, however, they're able to be more productive, yet happier, less stressed, and more rewarded, precisely because of their deliberate habits around energy and focus. As we just discussed, energy is a huge enabler. Good sleep, optimal nutrition, consistent exercise are massive enhancers. And positive emotions also significantly lead to greater productivity. Happier people consistently receive higher evaluations for quality, dependability, and creativity. There's even research showing that simply watching a short comedy clip can actually boost productivity.
Really? A comedy clip? That's interesting.
Yeah. And the second key enabler, as you can imagine, is focus, especially in this modern era of constant information overload and digital distraction.
Oh, absolutely critical.
It is. Information overload, incessant distractions, constant interruptions, they not only demoralize people but also dramatically lower work quality. That's why the research strongly advises against that common habit of checking email first thing in the morning. It immediately leads to overwhelm and puts you in a reactive posture for your entire day. It basically hijacks your focus before you've even truly begun.
That's a daily trap so many of us fall into. Okay, what about the perennial debate on work-life balance? Many people feel it's just impossible in today's always-on culture, that it's basically a myth.
Well, that's where a major misconception lies. The mistake most people make is thinking of balance in terms of evenly distributed hours, like it's a quantity game, rather than the quality of their experience within those hours. They often believe they don't have balance even if their hours are statistically balanced across different life areas, maybe 30% work, 30% sleep, 30% other. The core problem is often that they are not intentional or present about their off time, and thus they don't enjoy it enough. It feels fleeting and unfulfilling.
So it's not about achieving some perfect 50-50 split of time, but the quality of your engagement and happiness in each part of your life.
Precisely. A much better and more effective approach is to consistently balance happiness or progress across your major life arenas. When people genuinely feel out of balance, it's usually because one area like work or family or health became too intense, too time-consuming, or too demanding, causing others to suffer. The solution is the life arenas activity. Consistently measuring your major life arenas, like health, family, friends, intimate relationships, mission work, finances, adventure, hobbies, spirituality, emotional well-being. You rate your happiness and set goals for each area weekly. This activity provides crucial perspective, helps you adjust your course proactively, and significantly increases your overall sense of balance and control.
Okay, that makes sense. Checking in on all areas.
Exactly. Also, critically important are breaks. The research is clear. Working straight through the day makes people unhappy and significantly less productive. Our brains simply need rest to restore neurochemicals and increase attention. The ideal break point seems to be every 45-60 minutes for just a short 2-3 minute physical and mental break. The author, for example, strictly follows a 50-minute rule, stepping away from his desk for brief calisthenics or qigong or deep breathing exercises. These short, deliberate breaks actually buy back hours of added focus and effectiveness throughout your day.
That's a huge shift from just grinding endlessly. Now, let's talk about the first specific practice for truly increasing your productivity as a high performer.
Okay, the first practice is to increase the outputs that matter, also known as prolific quality output, PQO. This is about consistently producing more high-quality output than your peers over the long term. It's achieved by sharply aiming your attention and consistent effort toward that specific output and ruthlessly minimizing all distractions, even things that look like opportunities that steal attention from your true craft.
So it's not just about being busy or completing a lot of tasks, but about producing things that really make a difference, that are meaningful and impactful.
Exactly. The real culprit for poor productivity, the research suggests, isn't just email itself or endless meetings, but our whole orientation to work, as the author puts it. Real work isn't replying to everyone's false emergencies, shuffling papers, deleting junk emails, posturing to look good, or attending meetings. Real work is producing quality output that matters.
Finding your PQO.
Finding your PQO. Identifying your own PQO is often a major breakthrough in your career trajectory. For a blogger, it's more frequent and better content. For a sales rep, it's more meetings with truly qualified prospects. For a parent, maybe it's more quality free time and great memorable experiences with their kids.
You see this principle clearly illustrated in historical examples too, right? Like Steve Jobs famously cutting numerous Apple products to focus intensely on scaling just a few, or Walt Disney, who consciously ramped up movie production.
Precisely. Wherever PQO is found and prioritized, true breakthroughs and sustainable wealth tend to follow. The author shares his own journey. After quitting his initial job and initially just casting about with no clear direction, he had an epiphany. He realized his PQO for a professional speaker was securing paid speaking gigs, and for an online trainer, it was creating high-quality curriculum, training videos, and comprehensive courses.
That's clear.
Very clear. This laser-sharp focus on his PQO, rather than diffusing his efforts, led to massive success. Over 2 million students, 100 million video views. He strategically allocates 60% of his work week directly to his PQO, writing, curriculum development, filming, with the remaining 40% supporting and facilitating that core 60%. This isn't about going all in at 100% on one thing, but strategic allocation of your most valuable time and focus.
Right. And what about perfectionism? That stops a lot of people.
Ah, yes. A crucial point that trips many people up. Perfectionism, though, is just a delay logic fancied up to look respectable. People often don't finish their PQO, not due to genuine perfectionism, but due to doubt or distraction. True perfectionism, the pursuit of excellence, comes after completion through continuous improvement and iteration. Don't let it stop you from shipping.
That's a great reframe for anyone struggling to finish and ship their work. Okay, what's the second powerful productivity practice?
It's to chart your 5 moves. While humans are masterful jugglers, right, we can handle many things simultaneously. This very strength can paradoxically destroy us at higher levels of ambition. Initial success often comes from multitasking, but scaling that success requires incredibly sharp focus and strategic prioritization. For your most ambitious dream or goal, the core question to ask yourself is, if there were only 5 major moves to make that goal happen, what would they be?
Just 5. So it's about stripping down a big, potentially overwhelming goal to its absolute, essential core components. It simplifies the path.
Exactly. Each of those major moves is essentially a big project in itself. You then break these projects down into specific deliverables, assign clear deadlines, and map out the necessary activities. Crucially, you schedule protected blocks of time in your calendar specifically for these 5 moves. When you look at an unfocused person's calendar, you won't easily discern their major projects. It's often just a chaotic mix of reactive tasks. All right. The author's own example for becoming a New York Times bestselling author powerfully illustrates this. His first book didn't hit the list. Instead of blaming external factors, he proactively interviewed #1 bestselling authors to rigorously deconstruct their 5 major moves, which included things like writing a truly compelling book, getting big email list promotions, executing a strategic speaking circuit. He admits he was stunned and scared because he didn't know how to do many of them, but he now knew the precise moves required.
So the simple process is, decide what you want, determine those 5 major moves, dedicate deep work to them for at least 60% of your work week, and then consciously designate all else as either a distraction, something to delegate, or an activity for your remaining 40% time.
Precisely. High performers can tell you their 5 moves in exacting detail, often off the top of their heads. This seemingly simple plan, executed with unwavering consistency and discipline, is what consistently yields impressive breakthrough results over time. It's about being incredibly intentional with your limited resources.
And what's the third essential practice for increasing productivity? This sounds key.
It's to get insanely good at key skills, also known as progressive mastery. To be truly productive at a high level, you simply must be supremely competent. This means continually identifying the major skills needed to win, not just now, but far into the future. These skills can be general, like effective communication, highly specific, like coding in a new language, or deeply personal, like self-control. The core belief that underpins this practice is that everything is trainable. Everything. When people say, "I can't do something," it almost always means, "I am unwilling to do the long-term training and conditioning necessary to become proficient."
That's a powerful reframe. It really puts the responsibility back on us. I remember the author's personal example with public speaking. He described himself as terrible initially, even fearing it more than death, yet he became world-class.
Yes, he is a living testament to this principle. He systematically applied progressive mastery principles to become a world-class speaker, overcoming a profound fear. Progressive mastery is not about brute, mindless repetition, which often leads people to quit if they're not good quickly. Instead, it's a strategic and disciplined approach. Think of it as a more nuanced and humanistic version of Anders Ericsson's concept of deliberate practice, but with a greater emphasis on emotion, socialization, and even teaching.
Okay, so what are the specific principles of progressive mastery that make it so effective, that allow anyone to improve almost anything?
There are 10 principles that collectively form the blueprint for progressive mastery. Let's tick through them quickly. 1. Define clear outcomes. Know exactly what mastery looks like. 2. Immerse yourself. Dive deep into the topic. 3. Identify micro-skills. Break it down into small, learnable parts. 4. Find expert help coaching. Learn from the best. 5. Seek challenge beyond comfort. Push your boundaries. 6. Deliberately practice. Focused, intentional effort. Identify weaknesses. 7. Measure progress and get feedback. Track improvement. Solicit input. 8. Socialize learning efforts. Practice with others. Leverage social dynamics. 9. Continue setting higher goals. Always aim for the next level. 10. Teach others what you learn. Solidify your understanding by teaching.
10 steps. Comprehensive?
Very comprehensive. This approach has been used to dramatically improve Olympians, NBA stars, Fortune 500 CEOs, and even, as the author notes, parents. It truly emphasizes that you can improve virtually anything in your life with this strategic, disciplined, and I think emotionally intelligent approach.
Okay. Our 5th high-performance habit is to develop influence. This feels crucial because, as the source states, any major long-term achievement is all but impossible without a positive and supportive network of people believing in and supporting your efforts and ambitions.
That's absolutely right. Influence is fundamentally about getting people to genuinely believe in and support your efforts and ambitions, fostering that crucial positive support network. Think back to the dynamic between Juan, the CEO, and Daniela, his new head of design. Juan initially saw Daniela as the problem, right? Someone who wanted to sideline, slash her budget, minimize her influence.
Yeah, control her.
Exactly. The coach challenged his entire perspective, saying, essentially, you can't influence a person in any useful way by diminishing them or putting out the fire in their belly. Juan, in that moment, needed a completely new vision for how to authentically influence Daniela, not just control her.
So what doesn't build influence, according to the research, that's often just as important as knowing what does.
Interestingly, the research shows that self-reported giving, or even things like creativity, don't correlate strongly with actual influence. What does build influence, powerfully and consistently, is your perception of yourself as successful, high-performing, and, more importantly, the tangible results of influence. When you consistently demonstrate influence, you see things like, well, kids listening more, conflicts resolving faster, getting new projects approved, making more sales, getting promoted, maybe even becoming CEO. It directly boosts your self-confidence and overall performance.
And it's not about personality, like being an extrovert.
No, and importantly, personality, like being a natural extrovert, does not consistently correlate with what they call political skill, which is defined as the ability to understand others and effectively get them to act. Influence, in this context, isn't about being inherently charming. It's about specific learnable behaviors.
Okay, so what are those specific behaviors? What's this ultimate influence model that high performers utilize?
The research identifies 3 core actions that form the ultimate influence model, or UIM, and consistently lead to positive influence. They are 1. Teach people how to think. 2. Challenge people to grow. And 3. Role model the way. These are the consistent behaviors influential people consciously or unconsciously deploy. They shape how we think, they challenge us to be better, and they lead by their own example.
Let's start with the first one. Teach people how to think. What does that mean in practice beyond just, imparting information?
It's profoundly about shaping perceptions. Truly influential people have this ability to shape how we think about ourselves, how we perceive others, or how we understand the world itself. You can begin doing this more deliberately in your daily life by consciously using phrases that invite reflection and a shift in perspective. Try using phrases like, well, think of it this way, or what do you think about the implications of, or maybe, what would happen if we tried approaching this from a different angle?
Gently guiding perspective.
Exactly. The author's own parents served as powerful everyday role models for this practice. His father, for instance, taught him to be self-reliant, smart in his choices, feel deeply loved, and care profoundly for his family. He also taught him to think of others with compassion, always give them the benefit of the doubt, even when they were difficult, shown through his own example of patiently handling rude customers. His mother, despite facing prejudice, consistently taught him to think of the world positively, with gratitude and excitement for possibilities, always believing hard work brings a fair shake. She taught him to approach the world with unwavering patience and humor, always seeing the good in others.
That's a beautiful example of how influence can shape a positive worldview and a compassionate approach to life. Okay, what's the second practice for developing influence?
It's to challenge people to grow. This involves observing people's character, their connections with others, and their contributions, and then actively, intentionally challenging them to develop and expand further in those areas.
How does that look?
Well, for character, you can challenge someone's character directly, maybe saying, I think you could do better here, or you're a better person than that. Or you could do it indirectly, asking thought-provoking questions like, how would your best self approach this situation? The author recounts how his high school teacher, Linda Ballou, profoundly challenged his character when he wanted to drop out, telling him flat out he wasn't a quitter and had too much talent and potential to give up.
Wow, direct challenge.
Yeah, for connection. High performers are explicit and intentional about setting clear expectations for how people should treat each other. They'll say things like, okay, team, let's really listen to one another more in this meeting, or let's show each other more respect in our discussions, or let's truly support each other more in achieving our goals. They actively seek to bring cohesion, collaboration, and solidarity to their teams and relationships. And for contribution, this is inherently future-oriented. High performers challenge individuals to reinvent themselves, to brainstorm completely new models, and to bravely push into unknown territory. Critically, high-performing leaders meet people where they are, understanding their current capabilities, and then adjust the challenge level to inspire greater contribution, providing just enough stretch to foster growth without overwhelming them. Linda Ballou, in the author's story, challenged him and other students to become the best high school newspaper, creating this expectation of excellence and teaching them to lead with integrity, fostering deep camaraderie and competence within the team.
So it's about holding people to a higher standard, but always with clear intention and supportive guidance. Okay, what's the third and final element of influence?
It's simply to role model the way. The research shows that 71% of high performers consciously think about being a positive role model daily for their family, their team, their wider community. Their intention is laser-focused on acting in a way that directly inspires someone else to improve. For Juan, the CEO in our earlier example, he had this profound realization that to authentically influence Daniela, he first had to be the role model he wanted to see. He needed to lead with questions, genuinely be open to her thoughts, and remarkably, let her lead in certain areas.
It sounds like he had to embody the very values he wanted to see in her, to really walk the talk himself.
Exactly. He realized he wasn't embodying the values his own father and his most impactful business partner, his greatest influences, had instilled in him. The magic happens, as the author describes it, when we let all the drama go and decide to ask how we can be role models again. Juan changed his entire approach for the next all-hands meeting, consciously teaching the ultimate influence model and creating a genuine dialogue, inviting everyone to shape the future together rather than just dictating it. This shift in his personal behavior was the ultimate act of influence.
All right, our sixth and final high-performance habit is demonstrate courage. This feels like the cornerstone, doesn't it? The glue that holds everything else together, the habit that truly activates all the others.
It truly is. Courage is defined as taking determined action to serve an authentic, noble, or life-enhancing goal, even in the face of significant risk, fear, adversity, or opposition. The research conclusively shows that courage is the cornerstone habit of high performance, significantly correlated with every single one of the other HP6 habits. Individuals who consistently demonstrate greater courage also tend to exhibit more clarity, generate more energy, feel a deeper sense of necessity, achieve higher productivity, and develop greater influence. It's truly foundational.
This brings to mind Sandra, the celebrity client you mentioned. She posted that video online, got a ton of hate. Initially, the coach struggled with her definition of courage in that context, right? Thinking she was maybe being dramatic or inflating the modern definition to include just self-expression.
Yes. The coach initially struggled with that common, often inflated, modern definition of courage, where simply posting a video, sharing an idea, or even finishing a race is sometimes branded as courageous. He internally contrasted with what he considered historical acts of profound courage, like George Washington crossing the Delaware or Rosa Parks bravely refusing to give up her seat.
Big difference.
Big difference. But then the raw truth of Sandra's situation was revealed. She had a black eye, a result of an abusive husband. In that context, posting that video, which seemed maybe small to the coach initially, was the first light of courage for Sandra. It was a risky, terrifying, but ultimately noble step that initiated her process of sharing her truth and reclaiming her freedom and well-being. It was courage for a truly life-enhancing goal.
That completely reframes it, doesn't it? It's not just about grand heroic gestures, but those everyday acts of bravery that move us toward our authentic selves and well-being. So what specifically drives courage in high performers?
Well, high courage consistently correlates with several key traits and mindsets. A genuine love for mastering challenges, perceiving oneself as assertive, confident, and a high performer, and crucially, being happy with life overall.
Happy people are more courageous. That seems counterintuitive.
It might seem so, but the data supports it. Happy people tend to worry less about themselves, right? Which frees them up to focus on others and larger causes. They tend to believe they can do incredible things, and they've developed a strong sense of self-control, which makes them far more capable in uncertain or fear-inducing situations.
So courage is less of a fixed virtue someone is born with and more of a skill that can actually be developed.
Exactly. The research firmly states, courage is more like a skill, since anyone can learn it. The more you deliberately practice actions that involve facing fear, authentically expressing yourself, or selflessly helping others, the easier those actions become. And it's not just personal. Courage is also profoundly contagious. If your kids, your team, your community see you demonstrate it, they are far more likely to model it themselves. High performers also possess this distinct bias toward action, even when the outcome is scary, risky, or uncertain. They don't wait for certainty, they leap. As the author beautifully puts it, action woke their heart and their path was revealed. You are capable of remarkable things you will only discover by taking that first courageous action.
What's the first practice high performers use to consistently demonstrate courage?
It's to honor the struggle. Modern society, unfortunately, often avoids struggle at all costs, right? Favoring ease, comfort, convenience. This constant avoidance, however, leaves people with underdeveloped character and strength.
We get soft.
We get soft. The trap here is insidious. If you consistently quit at the first sign of difficulty in everyday life, whether it's a challenging project or a difficult conversation, you simply won't have the mental or emotional fortitude to persist in the face of real fear or genuine threat. Media often reinforces this idea that life should be an easy flow, just a smooth ride.
But the truth is, true excellence, true mastery, it requires immense hard work, discipline, sometimes boring routines, navigating frustrations, enduring adversities, and yes, a great deal of courage.
Exactly. The critical mindset shift is to see struggle as a necessary, important, and profoundly positive part of your journey toward growth and high performance. Embracing this perspective brings true inner peace and personal power. High performers don't dread challenges, failures, or difficulties. On the contrary, they love trying to master new things and maintain deep confidence despite hardships. They often speak of past difficult times with a sense of reverence and gratitude, not dread or regret, because they recognize those struggles forged them. As Michelle Obama once said, your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your biggest advantages.
Wow.
Ultimately, there are only two fundamental human stories: struggle and progress. You simply cannot have the latter without the former. The ups and downs, the challenges and breakthroughs, that's what makes us truly human and capable of extraordinary things.
Okay, what's the second practice for demonstrating courage?
It's to share your truth and ambitions. The main motivation for this practice is a profound desire for personal freedom. The freedom to express your true self, to pursue your dreams without restriction, and to live authentically. This, unequivocally, requires immense courage. Many people, out of fear, unconsciously play small. They minimize their dreams, bottle up their ideas, or deliberately dumb themselves down to conform, to seek comfort, or to placate others.
The author's pretty direct about this point, isn't he? Saying things like, do not dare play small. Holding back is not humility, it's lying.
Yeah, he doesn't pull any punches. He states that if the people in your life, your partner, your family, your team, your friends, do not truly know your deepest thoughts, your honest feelings, your fundamental needs, and your biggest dreams, you cannot blame them. He asserts that it is your lack of voice or vulnerability or power that is building the barricade to your own potential. Holding back your truth, being inauthentic, fundamentally destroys the aliveness and genuine connection in relationships. No one truly wants a fake connection. Your next level of performance, your next breakthrough, truly begins at your next level of radical truth and authenticity.
And the third and final courage practice?
It's to find someone to fight for. The author himself provides a powerful example of this. When he was broke and just starting his career, deeply impacted by his car accident, he found profound motivation and courage by wanting to share what he had learned, reflecting on those core questions. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? This mission, this profound purpose for others, gave him the unshakable courage to persist despite immense personal and financial challenges. When you have someone you deeply love, a cause you passionately believe in, or a dream that requires you to show up at your absolute best, it fuels your courage like nothing else can.
So it's about connecting your courageous actions to an external, noble purpose, making it about more than just yourself.
Precisely. You are only as strong and as extraordinary as you give yourself reason to be. So, as the research concludes, you must determine your musts. Proactively identify the courageous actions you will take this week, not just for yourself, but specifically because someone you love needs you to, because a cause you profoundly believe in needs you to, or because your most audacious dream simply requires it of you. That external purpose transforms fear into action. Okay, so we've meticulously explored the HP6 clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage, the core habits for extraordinary living. But what happens when high performers, after achieving that initial success, stumble or even fall? What are the common traps they fall into? Yeah, the research reveals a crucial insight here. When high performers stumble after initial success, it's rarely due to fear or a sudden lack of competence or a decline in creativity or motivation or even insufficient resources. The most frequent culprits are almost always internal. They're often related to a failure to consistently practice the HP6 and particularly 3 specific traps that tend to emerge after success.
Okay, let's talk about trap number 1, superiority.
Ah, yes. This is often dubbed the lonely at the top syndrome. It's vividly exemplified by Don, the CEO, who, after reaching a certain level of success, began to dismiss his audience or colleagues or subordinates as just not getting it. This attitude, the belief that you're always right, that you are inherently superior, that others' contributions are somehow less valuable, is, as the research highlights, an omen for every great downfall. It's a profoundly corrosive mindset.
Yeah, it sounds like it actively sabotages relationships and performance rather than enhancing them.
It absolutely does. This mindset blinds you to the immense value others can add.
Yeah.
It creates this deep sense of separation and isolation, and it makes you incredibly vulnerable to failure. The consistent remedy and a critical mindset for sustained high performance is to remember, you can't maximize your potential while minimizing others. High performers who avoid this trap consistently recognize that their success comes from a combination of blessings, disciplined habits, fortunate exposure, excellent training, crucial mentorship. It's not just about being inherently special or uniquely gifted. Most high performers, even at the pinnacle, they feel like they're just getting started, right? They're perpetual students. Humility, therefore, becomes the essential antidote to the trap of superiority.
What's trap number 2? This sounds like it could be a subtle but powerful saboteur.
Dissatisfaction. You might intuitively think that a perpetual, relentless dissatisfaction with the status quo is a primary driver of success, like that famous musician who preached, "Never be satisfied," as the path to continuous achievement. But the author counters this directly. High performers, as measured by the research, are generally happier and feel a deeper, more profound sense of satisfaction with their lives. Perpetual dissatisfaction, while it might fuel initial bursts of effort, is simply not sustainable in the long term. Your brain, quite literally, is hardwired for happiness. Positive emotions not only enhance learning and creativity, but also naturally lead to those highly productive flow states we discussed earlier.
So, that constant striving without ever acknowledging or experiencing the satisfaction eventually takes an emotional and performance toll.
It most certainly does. If you constantly cheat yourself of the payoff of satisfaction and fulfillment, your performance will inevitably lag, and burnout will likely follow. The musician who advocated never be satisfied, despite his outward success, eventually checked into a depression treatment center. The actionable remedy here is to regularly and consciously acknowledge your wins and progress. At the end of each day, take a few moments to journal 3 things that went well or better than expected. Have weekly family or team meetings where you specifically discuss and celebrate wins. Maybe start your team meetings by asking for joyful shares from everyone. This consistent practice helps you consciously notice what's working, appreciate the journey, and internalize your successes, building a sustainable foundation of fulfillment.
And what's the third and final trap that high performers really need to be aware of?
Neglect and overreaching. This often manifests as the until moment, where high performers who fail reflect back and say, I knew I was juggling too many balls, but I hadn't realized it was so bad until...
Until it was too late.
Exactly. There are 2 parts to this. Neglect. Obliviousness. This is that painful hindsight where the very tools for success, intense hard work and laser-sharp focus, ironically became the cause of their demise. It led to chronic workaholism, severe work-home conflict, or health breakdowns. They simply took their eye off what truly mattered outside of their primary professional pursuits. The consistent remedy for this is to continuously use that life arenas activity, the weekly review of your 10 life categories, to maintain perspective, ensure balanced attention, and proactively avoid this dangerous obliviousness.
Right. Keep checking all the boxes.
Keep checking all the boxes. The second part is overreaching. This is driven by an insatiable desire for more, combined with an unrealistic sense of what is possible in a short time frame, leading to chronic overcommitment. It's basically going for too much, too fast, in too many domains simultaneously.
So it's about saying no more often, even if you're perfectly capable of doing it, because it's not strategic for long-term health and performance.
Exactly. The profound lesson here is that high performance, paradoxically, is often about less, zeroing in on a few truly crucial things, and fiercely protecting your time, energy, and overall well-being. This requires a difficult but essential mindset shift. Slow down, be more strategic, and learn to say no more often. The hustle and grind that might have brought initial success will inevitably burn you out if sustained indefinitely. Don't overcommit simply because you're good at saying yes or because you can do it. As the author warns, it's a short hop from badass to burnout.
Good line.
Yeah. Strategic no means proactively saying no to good opportunities that would rob you of sleep, cancel your strategic moves, or take away precious family time. Develop the discipline to say no to almost every opportunity first, and then force a compelling justification for any yes. Strategic thinking over months and years is key, not just reacting to daily demands. As the timeless adage reminds us, the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing.
Okay, finally, after diving deep into these 6 powerful habits and the traps that can derail us, let's talk about the #1 thing that seems to underlie all of this. Confidence.
They are able who think they are able, as the ancient Roman poet Virgil wisely observed. Confidence is not just some fleeting emotion. It's a consistent emotional state for high performers, right along with being deeply engaged and joyful. The research unequivocally shows that confidence correlates significantly with overall high performance and, crucially, with every single one of the HP6 habits.
Every single one.
Every single one. When someone is genuinely more confident, they consistently exhibit greater clarity, generate more energy, feel a deeper sense of necessity, achieve higher productivity, develop greater influence, and demonstrate more courage. It's like the ultimate accelerant.
This reminds me so much of Aurora, the world-class gymnast. She was feeling sick with nerves before her first big presentation, despite her extraordinary physical prowess.
Yes, that's a perfect example. The author pointed out to her that she had felt those exact same nerves, that internal physiological response, with other positive emotions during her competitions. It was simply energy. He encouraged her to reframe it. She could choose to connect with the audience not as a nervous gymnast, but as the woman who just showed the world her superpowers on the balance beam. confidence is profoundly important. It's good for your health. It dramatically decreases the likelihood of burnout. It makes you happier, more willing to take on new and challenging endeavors, and ultimately more fulfilled in life. As the research sums it up, nothing correlates like confidence.
So how do high performers build this powerful foundational confidence in themselves? What are the building blocks?
There are three core confidence builders that consistently emerge from the research. First, develop competence. Confidence is deeply tied to a belief in one's abilities in a specific task or domain. The more knowledge, skill, or demonstrable talent you acquire in a given task, the more confidence you gain. And this, in turn, leads to even better performance, creating this powerful competence loop.
Right, you do well, you feel good, you do better.
Exactly. To apply this, consistently reflect on your progress and new learning. Set aside at least 40 minutes every Sunday to review your week. Ask yourself, what did I learn this week? What challenges did I handle well? What do I truly deserve a pat on the back for, big or small? This intentional reflection builds that sense of earned competence. Second, be congruent. This is about consistently living in authentic alignment with the best of who you truly are, with your deepest values and aspirations. It involves asking yourself tough questions like, am I being honest with who I am in this moment? Am I trustworthy in my actions and words? Do I genuinely practice what I preach?
Living your values.
Living your values. High performers don't wait for others to define them. They consciously define who they want to be, and then they rigorously align their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors with that chosen identity. The more days you live in congruence, the greater your general, pervasive sense of confidence. This often involves the courage to break free from old patterns, negative relationships, or work that no longer aligns with your true self, and proactively seeking out work and connections that resonate with your authentic purpose. To apply this, describe the person you truly want to be with vivid detail. Then, identify 3 specific things you can do weekly to live more congruently with that vision, and just as importantly, 3 things you should consciously stop doing.
Stop doing. That's key too.
Absolutely. And third, enjoy connecting. As Dale Carnegie famously advised, you can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. This timeless wisdom is a core principle for high performers. Their confidence in social interactions comes not from projecting an image or seeking external validation, but from a genuine, unforced interest in others. It stems from a sincere desire to learn about them and, crucially, to serve them. Confidence, in this context, comes less from self-projection and far more from genuine, empathetic connection. To apply this, first identify your main reason for wanting to be better and more confident with people. Then reflect on when you'll truly know you're more confident in social settings. And finally, when talking with people, practice the active mental intention. I'm genuinely interested in learning about them and serving them in this interaction.
You know, it really sounds like an underlying foundational theme for all 3 of those confidence builders is just curiosity. It seems to drive so much of what we've discussed today.
It absolutely is the engine. Curiosity drives the deliberate development of competence, right? It fuels that rigorous self-examination necessary for congruence, and it powerfully motivates the seeking out of others for genuine connection. When you put it all together, the research reveals this powerful confidence formula. Curiosity plus competence plus congruence plus connection. Confidence.
I love that. Curiosity plus the 3 C's. And what are the recurring thoughts, maybe the internal dialogues of the confident high performer that you often hear?
They're consistently centered around these 3 pillars. They often think something like, okay, I know what to do and how to add value here, or at least I profoundly believe in my ability to figure things out and I'm willing to go for it. Then, I know I'm living in alignment with the person I want to become. I'm being authentic. And finally, I know I'll do well with others because I'm genuinely interested in learning about them and serving them. If these become your recurring thoughts, if they become your reality, you will be confidently and powerfully on your way to higher and more sustained performance in every single area of your life.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've taken through the world of high-performance habits. We've meticulously unpacked the core principles, haven't we? Diving deep into the 6 deliberate habits: clarity, energy, necessity, productivity, influence, and courage. And we've explored the absolutely crucial role of confidence in not just achieving, but truly sustaining extraordinary success and well-being. This deep dive has really shown you, I think, that while the journey to an extraordinary life is often, well, fraught with struggle, growth is the true noble objective, not merely chasing ease.
Absolutely. You now have really a comprehensive map and specific practices to develop each of these habits. And remember, this isn't about being innately good at them or waiting around for inspiration. It's about deliberate, consistent effort and intentional cultivation. Remember that fundamental truth from the research. You are capable of remarkable things that you could never foretell and will never discover without taking action. Your most profound path will be revealed through your very next courageous step.
So as you reflect on this deep dive and consider your own unique path to high performance, we want to leave you with this final provocative thought, something to truly mull over. Ask yourself this. If your future best self, a version of you 10 years older, who was even stronger, more capable, and more successful than you ever imagined yourself to be, showed up on your doorstep today and looked at your current circumstances, what one courageous action would that future self tell you to take right now?
Consider how you will thoughtfully integrate these insights, how you'll honor your struggles as those crucibles of growth, and how you will deliberately choose confidence and contribution in your daily life. The world truly needs you to show up fully, now more than ever.
Thanks for tuning in to the Book Summary Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe for more summaries, and share it with someone who's ready to grow. Want deeper insights, exclusive book notes, and reading tips? Join our free newsletter. The link's in the description. And don't forget, if you'd like to read the full book, our affiliate link is right below. It helps support the channel and keeps the summaries coming. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing.